So, I want to start today with a very specific mental image.
Okay.
I want you to picture a robot,
All right, like a factory robot or a sci-fi thing.
a real one, but I need you to erase the image of, like, the Boston Dynamics dog dancing to K-pop
Right.
and get rid of that sleek, white, almost Apple Store aesthetic of the humanoid bots we see in all those press releases right now.
Yeah, we definitely aren't talking about the robot's design for the brochure.
No, we are talking about something ugly.
Okay.
I want you to picture a machine built in a garage. Maybe it has some exposed wiring and the welds look a little rough.
Like a prototype.
Yeah, exactly. The chassis is all scratched up. It's clunky. It moves slowly.
Sounds like a high school science project that barely got a passing grade.
That is exactly what it looks like. It's the kind of thing that if you saw it at a massive tech expo, you would probably just walk right past it to get to the coffee bar.
You wouldn't even stop for a picture.
No, absolutely not. But here is the kicker, and this is the story that really anchors our entire discussion today.
Mm-hmm.
This robot had one job.
Right.
It wasn't built to do backflips.
Right.
It was built by a singular engineer for a factory floor where human workers were handling live grenades.
Wow. High stakes.
The highest. We are talking about handling live explosives all day, and this engineer, he didn't build it to get a headline in TechCrunch.
Yeah.
He didn't build it to pump his company's stock price.
He built it to solve a terrifying problem.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
built it so that at the end of a shift, a human worker could pull out their phone and text their family 3 simple words, "I'm safe tonight."
I mean, that is the distinction that matters right there. That story is the perfect opening for what we're doing here, because it perfectly highlights the gap between what the sources call innovation and decoration.
Innovation versus decoration.
Yes.
That is the core theme of the source material we are covering today.
And we have a lot to get through.
We really do. We are looking at a stack of documents today that frankly feels a bit like a bucket of cold water to the face of the entire tech industry.
It's a very necessary bucket of cold water.
Yeah.
Because what we are looking at is essentially a State of the Union on AI engineering for Q1 2026. And honestly, it is brutal.
It is brutal. For you listening, we have 2 main sources guiding this deep dive today.
Right.
One is this macroeconomic reality check on why the AI revolution feels, expensive and chaotic right now.
Highly chaotic.
And the second source is a tactical field guide. It reads almost like a birdwatching manual, but for spotting fake writing.
Which they hilariously call workslop.
Workslop. Yeah, we are definitely going to get deep into workslop later. But I want to stick with this grenade robot for just a second longer.
Sure.
Because the expert commentary in the source material makes a really cynical point about this anecdote.
Oh, yeah, I remember this part.
It says, most companies right now, if they were operating in that grenade factory, they wouldn't build the ugly robot that actually saves lives.
No, they wouldn't. They would
Right.
build a robot that dances.
Exactly.
They'd film it in 4K, put it on LinkedIn, get 1 million views, and then just let the line workers keep handling the live grenades by hand.
It is such a dark assessment of the corporate mindset right now.
It is dark, but look at the market. I mean, the source argues so clearly that most companies do not have an actual AI strategy. What they have is an AI announcement strategy.
Okay, let's push back on that a little bit.
Right.
Because announcement strategy, it sounds catchy, and I know we love to be cynical about corporate America, but is that entirely fair?
You think it's too harsh?
Well, companies have to signal innovation to shareholders, right? If
Yeah.
you don't announce you're doing AI, your stock tanks.
Mm.
So is the source saying they are maliciously lying to the public or just that they are extremely premature?
That is a very valid distinction to make.
Mm.
No, I don't think it's malice necessarily. I think it's panic.
Yeah.
Pure panic. The source compares it to this specific model called the automation curve.
The automation curve. Okay, walk us through that. How does
Yeah.
that work?
So historically, every major technology wave, whether you're talking about the dawn of the internet or the shift to mobile or cloud computing, it always follows a predictable pattern.
Right.
It always starts with hype. That's
Yeah.
the phase where everyone is screaming, this changes everything.
The magazine covers the breathless op-eds.
Exactly. And then it inevitably moves to the next phase, which is theater.
Theater being the announcement phase we were just talking about.
Precisely. Theater is when every single Fortune 500 company suddenly appoints a head of AI.
Or a chief metaverse officer from a few years ago.
Yes, exactly the same energy. They buy the massive enterprise software licenses. They run these highly publicized pilots. They do the big press conferences.
It looks like they're doing something.
It looks exactly like work. It smells like work. But if you actually go and look at the P&L, the profit and loss statement, Nothing has actually changed in the business. The boat isn't going any faster.
The margins are exactly the same.
Sometimes worse because of all the money they just spent on the theater.
And the source says we are currently stuck in this theater phase right now in early 2026.
Actually, it says it's worse than that. We are at the very tail end of the theater phase, and we are staring straight down the barrel of the reckoning.
The reckoning. That sounds very ominous.
It's meant to. The reckoning is that inevitable moment when the CFO walks into the boardroom and says, okay, guys, we spent $50 million on compute and API licenses last year.
Show me the money.
Literally, show me the $50 million in operational savings.
Yeah.
And the whole room just goes completely silent.
Wow. And this brings us directly to the Q1 2026 reality check from our first source. And honestly, the numbers in this report are startling.
They really challenge the mainstream narrative.
They completely dismantle it because we see headlines every single day about layoffs, right?
Right. Tech company X cuts 10% of staff.
Tech company Y cuts 5,000 jobs. And the narrative, the spin is always the same. The robots are taking the jobs. AI is replacing the human workers.
That is absolutely the prevailing narrative out there. But the data in this deep dive says something completely different.
The source claims that only about 5% of recent layoffs can actually be traced back to genuine, verifiable AI productivity gains.
5%. Just let that sink in.
Hold on, though. 5% seems incredibly low given how much noise there is about job replacement.
It does.
So how is the source actually calculating that? Because if a company fires 5,000 people and goes on an earnings call and says, we are pivoting to an AI-driven workforce, how do you definitively prove that they aren't?
This is where the methodology of the report gets really fascinating. The analysts didn't just listen to the earnings calls. They looked directly at the OpEx.
The operational expenditure.
Right, the day-to-day spending. If you are truly replacing human workers with an artificial intelligence system, you should logically see a very specific shift in where your money is going.
You stop paying salaries.
Exactly. You stop paying salaries, which is OpEx, and you start paying for massive amounts of cloud compute or API tokens, which is also OpEx or sometimes CapEx, depending on how they do the accounting.
Okay, so there should be a visible transfer of funds.
But the map didn't show that transfer.
So the money didn't move from the salary column to the robot column. It just disappeared entirely.
Exactly. The overall spending just went down drastically. And what that means economically is that it wasn't automation at all.
It was austerity.
It was just old-fashioned austerity. It was classic corporate cost-cutting wearing a very fancy sci-fi costume.
That makes perfect sense.
They needed to cut costs because maybe interest rates were high or their revenue was flat, so they fired thousands of people.
Yeah.
But if you stand up and say, we ran out of money, that sounds like failure.
The stock takes a hit.
Right. But if you stand up and say, we are strategically restructuring for an AI-first future, well, that sounds like visionary leadership.
Wow. So the reckoning is the market waking up and realizing that we haven't actually built the grenade robot yet. We just fired the guy who was holding the grenade.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. And that reality is so dangerous for these companies.
Why dangerous?
Because now you have significantly fewer people actually doing the work. And to compensate you, you gave the remaining employees these new AI tools that they frankly don't quite know how to use yet.
Which leads directly to the other devastating statistic in the report, what they call pilot purgatory.
Pilot purgatory, yes.
The report says the average enterprise right now is running more than 12 completely disconnected AI pilots.
12 at the same time.
I mean, that sounds like a ton of activity. Shouldn't that sheer volume of experimentation yield something useful?
It is a lot of activity.
Yeah.
But activity is not progress.
Right.
The source points out that these 12 concurrent pilots have near zero actual margin impact.
Zero.
Because you have to think about what a proof of concept or a POC actually is.
Yeah.
A POC is usually designed specifically to succeed.
How so?
You pick an incredibly safe, highly constrained use case. You throw your 3 smartest engineers at it.
Yeah.
You meticulously hand clean all the data before feeding it to the model.
So it's basically a rigged game.
It's a lab experiment. It works beautifully in the sandbox.
But it doesn't scale.
It doesn't scale at all.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it doesn't integrate into the actual messy corporate infrastructure.
It's just a demo.
It's a very expensive demo. Real engineering, like that ugly grenade robot we talked about, is entirely about integration.
Dealing with the real world.
Yes. It's about taking the messy, dirty, highly unstructured data from a company's legacy systems built in like 1998, and somehow making a modern LLM understand it without hallucinating.
And that kind of work is tedious.
It's incredibly boring, it's hard, it's slow, and nobody wants to fund it.
Because it doesn't make a good demo video.
Exactly. They would rather fund the internal chatbot that tells pirate jokes because executives can play with it on their phones.
So while the executives are upstairs high-fiving each other over these 12 disconnected pilots that don't scale what is actually happening down on the floor to the employees.
That brings us to my favorite newly coined term.
The source introduces this term, and it's brilliant. Workslop.
Workslop. It is such a visceral word.
It sounds sticky, like something you scrape off your shoe.
It essentially is the digital equivalent of that. Workslop is the unrefined, hallucinated, mediocre output that gets generated when you use AI without applying any actual engineering rigor to it.
And the source puts a hard number on the cost of this slop.
Yeah, it's blew my mind.
It says employees are currently spending upwards of 3 hours a day just doing rework.
3 hours every single day.
That's almost half of a standard workday just fixing things.
Is a massive drain on productivity.
So walk me through this. How does using a tool that is marketed as being instantaneous, like generating code or writing a massive report in 10 seconds, how does that result in a human losing 3 hours?
Let's look at the culture angle that the source dives into. Specifically, they look at software engineering. This is where the dynamic gets really clear and really alarming.
Okay, let's do a scenario.
Right. Imagine you have a junior developer fresh out of college. They get tasked with writing a Python script to scrape some data.
Normal task.
Very normal. So they go to their AI tool. They type in the prompt. The AI spits out 50 lines of complex-looking code in about 10 seconds.
Which feels like absolute magic to that junior dev.
It feels like a superpower. The junior dev looks at it. It has the right keywords. It structurally looks like code. So they copy-paste it into the project and hit commit.
Done.
They feel incredibly productive. They just completed a 2-hour ticket in 2 minutes.
What?
But the code has problems. Maybe it secretly imports a library that was deprecated back in 2024. Or worse, it has this incredibly subtle logic error that only triggers when the dataset exceeds 1,000 rows.
Or a security flaw.
Exactly. Maybe it opens a port that violates strict company security policy.
And the junior developer simply doesn't have the experience to spot those nuances.
They don't. They just trust the machine implicitly. So now that flawed code moves up the chain. It lands on the desk of a senior staff engineer for review.
And the senior engineer is expensive.
Very. This person's time is worth, let's say, $200 an hour. They look at the commit and immediately see it's completely broken.
So they just fix it.
But it's not that simple. Because it was generated by an LLM, it's not broken in a logical human way.
What do you mean by that?
When a human makes a coding mistake, you usually follow their train of thought and see where they took a wrong turn. When an AI makes a mistake, it's broken in a bizarre, hallucinated spaghetti logic kind of way.
Ah, so the senior engineer has to basically become a forensic investigator.
Exactly. They have to reverse engineer the absolute nonsense the AI produced. So they end up spending 45 minutes intensely debugging a script that should have only taken 20 minutes to just write from scratch in the first place.
Wow.
Now multiply that 45 minutes of forensic cleanup by 10 different junior developers, all submitting slop all day long.
Your most valuable asset is paralyzed.
Suddenly, your senior engineers, the people who actually design architecture and drive real business value, are doing absolutely nothing but cleaning up junior-level work slop.
That is the margin impact right there. The sheer cost of the senior engineer's time completely obliterates any savings you got from the junior engineer's speed.
It creates a state of net negative productivity. The source explicitly calls this the McKinsey gap.
A McKinsey gap.
Yeah, the data shows that 72% of organizations have formally adopted AI, but fewer than 1 in 4 are seeing any measurable margin improvement at all.
Because they are tracking the wrong metric.
Completely. They are measuring the sheer speed of content generation. They are completely ignoring the massive downstream cost of correction.
Okay, so that is the very grim reality of Q1 2026. We are completely drowning in slop, the million-dollar pilots aren't scaling, and the big layoffs are mostly just accounting tricks.
Cheery rave.
Very, very uplifting stuff, but the source doesn't just complain about the problem.
No, it offers a way out.
It offers a very tactical solution, a 90-day playbook for escaping this theater phase. And I want to dig into this because it's surprisingly actionable. It breaks the advice down by your specific role in the company: employees, CEOs, investors, and boards.
And it gives everyone a hard deadline. It says, you need to implement this before May 31st.
I really love the aggressiveness of that specificity.
It creates urgency.
Let's start at the ground floor with the employees. The playbook's advice here is don't aim for speed. Map AI to your actual workflow. Build one change with a measurable business outcome.
This is completely anti-hype advice.
It goes against everything we see on social media.
Exactly. All those influencers are telling you to automate your entire life. The source is saying stop trying to use AI for absolutely everything. Stop trying to be the office AI guru who generates every single email with a prompt.
So what should they do instead?
Pick one specific annoying workflow. Just one. Maybe it's summarizing the brutal weekly sales call transcript. Maybe it's reformatting a very specific monthly JSON file for the marketing team.
Just one single task.
One single task. And this is the absolute key to survival, you have to measure it.
Get the numbers.
Yes. You need to be able to go to your boss and say, I used to spend 40 minutes doing this task every Tuesday. Now I spend exactly 8 minutes doing it, and here's the proof.
If you can prove that you actually have real job security.
Exactly. If you just vaguely say, oh yeah, I use AI a lot in my day-to-day, you are entirely replaceable. You're just a generic worker.
Okay, so that's the employees. What about the leadership? What is the playbook for CEOs?
This is where it gets tough.
The advice here is, quote, freeze AI justified layoffs unless there are quantified gains per workflow. Every cut needs a redesign plan.
We touched on this earlier with the austerity point, but let's go a bit deeper. The source is suggesting CEOs mandate a strict workflow audit.
A workflow audit.
Before you fire a single person, you need to literally map out the hours of the job. If you truly believe AI is saving your team time, you have to formally prove it.
No more guessing.
Run a mandatory 4-week pilot. Measure the human hours required before the AI, then measure the human hours required after.
But importantly, including the rework time.
Yes, exactly. You have to include the time spent fixing the workslop. If the total net hours aren't down by at least 40%, then that layoff you were planning is completely premature.
It's essentially asking CEOs to start acting like actual engineers and not just investment bankers.
It's forcing them to look at the actual mechanical process of the work, not just the bottom line of the payroll spreadsheet.
Okay, next up on the playbook we have investors.
The enablers.
The enablers. The advice for them is ask for a value map. Differentiate between what is a demo and what actually moved revenue.
The venture capitalists and institutional investors have honestly been the great enablers of this entire theater phase.
Because they buy into the hype.
They heavily rewarded the shiny object. If
Yeah.
a startup said AI 3 times in a pitch deck, their valuation doubled.
So true. The source is telling investors to stop doing that. Start asking the uncomfortably hard questions like, what?
Like, is this feature actually live in production? Can a real paying customer log in and use it today? Did it directly reduce churn this quarter?
Great if they hedge.
If the founder's answer is, well, it's currently in beta, or it's a strategic initiative for Q3, then you as an investor need to value that feature at exactly $0.
Brutal. Just completely ruthless.
But necessary to pop the bubble.
And finally, we have the boards of directors. The playbook says, request a reality brief. Live systems versus narrative.
The reality brief. I really want to see this become a standard mandatory corporate document everywhere.
How is it different from a normal board update?
Forget the slick PowerPoint deck with the rocket ship clip art and the hockey stick growth charts.
Right.
The reality brief says, show me the raw server logs. Show me the unedited user engagement statistics.
Give me the boring stuff.
Yes, because real engineering is incredibly boring to look at. If the presentation your CTO gives the board is super exciting and flashy, you should probably be very, very worried about what's actually under the hood.
It all just comes right back to that ugly grenade robot.
Always.
The most boring thing in the room is usually the thing that actually works.
The source notes that the specific companies that are truly winning right now, and there absolutely are winners out there, they are the quietest companies in the room.
They aren't on stage at the conferences.
They aren't issuing daily press releases. They are just quietly, internally rewiring 2 or 3 deeply critical business journeys.
They are down in the basement fixing the plumbing.
Exactly. They measure margin impact, not applause.
So that wraps up the macro view of this deep dive. We can fix the overarching business problems by aggressively ignoring the theater and focusing on boring, measurable engineering.
Right.
But now I want to fundamentally pivot our focus.
Let's do it.
Because we spent a lot of time talking about workslop in the context of computer code. But workslop is also heavily polluting our everyday human communication.
Oh, absolutely it is. The daily emails, the quarterly reports, the blog posts, we are all currently swimming in an absolute flood of mediocre robotic text.
And that is exactly what the second source in our stack is about. It is essentially a tactical field guide to identifying this AI-generated writing.
Like a birdwatching book for spotting robots.
Exactly. It catalogs 12 specific tells or signatures that give away the fact that an LLM wrote the text.
These are the little glitches in the matrix.
But before we get into the actual list of 12, I want to understand the underlying why. Why do these models all write the exact same way? The source uses a specific statistical phrase, regression to the mean.
Right?
Now, we hear that term in statistics class, but what does regression to the mean actually mean for prose and writing?
Okay, so to really grasp this, we need to get just a little bit technical about how an LLM, a large language model, actually generates a sentence.
Please lay it out for us.
At its core, an LLM is a prediction engine. It predicts the very next token or chunk of a word based purely on probability.
Okay.
And it bases that probability on its training data, which is essentially the entire internet. It has ingested the New York Times, Wikipedia, Reddit, corporate press releases, bad fan fiction, just everything.
It has basically ingested all of recorded humanity.
Right. But when it sits down to generate new text for you, it is fundamentally looking for the path of least resistance.
How so?
It is looking for the words that mathematically have the highest probability of following the previous words it just wrote.
So the classic example, if I type the sky, is the highest probability next word is obviously blue.
Exactly. Blue is the safest mathematical bet. Obsidian is a very rare token in that context.
Right.
Angry is poetic, but statistically highly unlikely to follow the sky is. Now apply that exact same mathematical logic to complex business concepts.
Okay.
If the model sees the prompt word city or the word community, the specific token vibrant suddenly gets a massive probability weight attached to it.
Why vibrant specifically?
Because basically every single piece of municipal marketing brochure data from the last 20 years has described a community as vibrant.
Ah, so it's not choosing the word vibrant because it has somehow analyzed the city and decided it is actually a lively, fun place.
Not at all. It's choosing it. Because statistically speaking, vibrant is the word that most often physically sits next to the word community in its data set.
That is fascinating.
And there's a second critical layer to this that creates the regression. It's called RLHF.
Reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Yes, this is the phase of training where thousands of human gig workers basically grade the AI's answers before it gets released to the public.
To make sure it doesn't say awful things.
Right. These human graders are strictly instructed to reward answers that hit 3 criteria: helpful, harmless, and honest.
I mean, that sounds perfectly fine.
It sounds great in theory, but in practice, harmless almost always translates to polite and generic.
Oh, I see.
If the underlying AI model writes something that is gritty or very sharp or highly opinionated, a human grader might flag it as potentially unsafe or biased.
So the model gets punished for having a voice.
Exactly. So over millions of iterations, the model learns to aggressively smooth off all of its rough edges. It overfits its writing to be incredibly safe. It becomes the ultimate people pleaser.
And that right there is the regression to the mean.
Yes, it pulls every single concept toward the safest, most universally boring average possible.
That explains so much. It perfectly explains why every single email generated by an AI sounds so incredibly
Beige.
beige. Yes, it's the color beige in text form.
The source refers to this phenomenon as content inflation.
Content inflation.
The AI uses vastly more words to say significantly less, because using more words feels more polite and thorough to the mathematical model.
Okay, let's finally get into this field guide. We have the 12 tells divided up into 4 distinct groups.
I love this list.
I want to play a game with these. I will read the specific tell from the guide, and I want you to give me the before and after. Give me the AI version and then the normal human version, and then explain the mechanism behind it.
Let's do it. Let's play Spot the Bot.
Spot the bot. Okay, group 1 is called the tone police.
The worst offenders.
First tell on the list is significance puffing. This is when the AI artificially inflates the importance of a statement by adding clauses like serves as a testament to or underscores the importance of.
Oh man, I see this literally everywhere on LinkedIn now.
Give us an example.
Okay, so the AI version would be the opening of the new employee parking lot serves as a testament to the company's unwavering commitment to vehicular accessibility.
And the human version.
We opened a new parking lot today.
It is just pure padding.
It's so much worse than just padding. It is pseudo-intellectualism generated by a machine.
Why does it do it?
Because the model has learned during its training that smart writing usually connects a concrete physical fact to a broader abstract concept.
So it's trying to mimic a college essay.
Exactly. It fundamentally can't handle just stating a simple bare fact. It feels the artificial need to tell the reader why that mundane fact is profoundly important. It's basically trying to earn an A on a high school paper.
Okay, the second tell in this group, promotional tone. This is using brochure speak, even on neutral topics. Words like nestled, vibrant, rich cultural heritage, and my absolute favorite tapestry.
Oh, tapestry. Okay, here is the AI version.
Get me.
Nestled in the heart of the valley, this vibrant community boasts a rich tapestry of cultural heritage.
It makes my skin crawl. What is the human version?
The human version is the town is located in the valley. There's a local museum and a large Mexican population.
Tapestry really is the big red flag for me. Honestly, if I am reading an email and I see the word tapestry and we are not literally talking about woven rugs on a wall, I immediately assume it's a bot.
You're completely right to assume that. Tapestry, landscape, mosaic, ecosystem, these are incredibly high probability metaphors found in marketing and PR data.
So how do you fix it if you're using AI?
The mechanical fix here is to realize that true specificity always beats vague sentiment. Don't tell me the downtown is vibrant. Tell me the local coffee shop stays open until midnight. You have to give the audience the raw data point, not the AI's hallucinated adjective.
Okay. The third and final tell in the tone police group, generic descriptions. This is when it replaces specific historical facts with vague praise, like calling someone a revolutionary titan of industry instead of just saying what they actually built.
This one is actually a hallucination of competence.
What does that mean?
Well, the model might not actually possess the specific historical details about the person in its active memory. Or those specific facts might just be very low probability tokens for some reason.
So it panics and guesses.
It doesn't panic. It just swaps in a high probability generic phrase to cover its tracks.
Ah.
Calling someone a revolutionary titan seamlessly fits anyone from Elon Musk to Henry Ford to the guy who invented the toaster strudel.
It works for everyone, so it means nothing.
Exactly. It is a completely safe bet for the AI, but it results in completely information-free writing for the reader.
Spot on. Let's move to group 2. These are the structural tics, and I have to warn you, these are the ones that drive me absolutely crazy because once you learn to see them, you literally cannot unsee them.
They ruin reading for you.
They really do. First up in this group is the dangling participle.
Ah, yes, the trailing in clause hooked onto the very end of a sentence.
Give us the example.
Okay, AI version. The global stock market crashed violently yesterday, highlighting the inherent volatility of international trade.
Human version.
The stock market crashed yesterday.
Why does it always do that? Why does it constantly need that little philosophical tale at the end of every paragraph?
I call it the summary instinct.
The summary instinct.
Remember that RLHF training we discussed? The training heavily encourages the model to be maximally helpful and to always provide deep context to the user.
Okay.
So when it states a fact, it instantly feels this mathematical urge to summarize the overall vibe or the overarching implication of the sentence immediately after writing it.
It's afraid of silence.
That's a great way to put it. It is fundamentally afraid to just let a naked fact stand alone on the page.
Next structural tic. The rule of 3.
Fast, reliable, and secure. Blue, red, and green. Hope, faith, and charity.
But wait, humans definitely use the rule of 3 all the time. It is a classic rhetorical device.
We absolutely do. But humans use it intentionally for poetic rhythm or emphasis.
Right.
The AI uses it as a rigid, unyielding default constraint. If you ask an LLM for reasons, it will almost always spit out exactly 3.
Even if there aren't 3.
Exactly. If there are really only 2 valid reasons in reality, it will hallucinate a completely mediocre third one just to fill that third slot in its pattern.
And if there are 5?
It will lazily truncate them down to 3. It is obsessively adhering to a structural pattern it saw millions of times in its training data, regardless of the actual truth.
Okay, the third structural tic. The inline header list.
Oh, you definitely know this one.
Let's hear it.
The AI version looks like this. Bullet point. Bold text reading, efficiency, colon. Will work very fast. Next bullet point. Bold text, quality, colon. We will be good. Next bullet. Bold text, safety, colon. We will be careful.
And the human version.
We focus our efforts on efficiency, quality, and safety. Just a normal sentence.
The AI version literally looks like a corporate slide deck transcribed into an email.
It looks exactly like a RIAD-M file on a GitHub repository.
Which is probably where it learned the format.
Almost certainly. It completely breaks the natural flow of prose. It is what I call the slide deckification of everyday human communication.
Group 3 of the tells is called hallucinations of authority. And honestly, this is where the slop gets ethically quite murky.
It crosses from annoying to deceptive here.
The major tell here is vague attribution. Phrases like experts argue, observers note, or critics claim.
This is the ultimate weasel word problem.
Give the AI version.
AI version. Critics argue that the new tax policy is fundamentally flawed.
Human version.
Senator John Smith argues the policy is flawed.
So why does the AI lean on vague critics?
Often the AI uses critics or experts simply because it cannot actually retrieve a specific human name for its latent space, or it is actively synthesizing a very broad general sentiment that it found scattered across its training data.
But the danger is it implies a consensus.
Exactly. It creates the total illusion of a massive expert consensus where there might essentially be none at all.
It's basically a sneaky way to say something highly opinionated without having to take any actual factual responsibility for the opinion.
Spot on. And the fix for this is very simple. You ban those words from your prompts. If the AI cannot name the specific expert who said it, you mandate that it deletes the sentence entirely.
Group 4, the final group, technical artifacts. The first one here is English variety.
This is a subtle one, but it's a massive tell if you are outside the US.
Right.
Most of the major foundational models out there, GPT-4, Claude Llama, they are trained by American companies and are heavily biased toward American English spelling and idioms.
So how does that give it away?
If you are reading a formal document that was supposedly written by an Australian government agency or a British university, and it spells the word color without a U, or if it uses a very American corporate phrase like let's reach out instead of we contacted them, that is a massive glowing neon sign that a bot wrote it.
And the next artifact is emoji usage.
Oh, the emojis.
I hate this one so much.
It's the little rocket ship emoji.
Yeah.
The glowing brain. The flexing bicep.
An AI version.
Here is the comprehensive marketing strategy for Q1 exclamation point rocket ship glowing brain flexing arm.
Human version.
Here is the Q1 strategy.
Why is it obsessed with emojis?
In a strict professional context, using emojis as actual bullet points or paragraph breaks is a hallmark of an AI desperately trying to feign human personality.
It's like Steve Buscemi with the skateboard.
It is the exact text equivalent of the hello fellow kids meme. It's an algorithm wearing a backward baseball cap.
And finally, the last tell is meta commentary.
This is the wrapper text. Phrases like, I hope this helps, or here's the detailed breakdown you requested, or the classic in conclusion.
It's the polite waiter talk.
Exactly. When a human colleague does a task for you, they usually just send you the attachment or the link.
Right, here's the file.
But the AI feels this programmed conversational need to formally announce that it is, in fact, sending you the document before it does. Okay, so we have gone through these 12 specific tells, and honestly, hearing them all laid out like this, it makes me incredibly paranoid.
It changes how you read.
It really does. I am going to be obsessively checking every single email I get from my team now, looking for tapestries and dangling participles.
You definitely should be aware of what you receive.
Yeah.
But honestly, more importantly, you need to be checking the emails that you yourself are sending out.
And that leads us perfectly to the actual solution. Because we can't just throw the AI away, it's too useful.
We have to learn to drive it.
The source calls this applying the engineer's lens to writing. It says we need to fundamentally stop treating our text prompts like we are making magic wishes to a genie.
Yes.
And we need to start treating prompting exactly like writing rigorous computer code.
This is the huge mental shift. Writing a prompt that says write a cool blog post about grenades is a wish.
And what does a wish get you?
A wish gets you the vibrant tapestry of explosive ecosystems.
Right, slop.
Pure slop. If you want actual quality, you have to deeply engineer the prompt with hard constraints.
The source outlines some very specific prompt engineering strategies to fight the slop. Let's go through them. First is negative constraint lists.
This is arguably the single most powerful tool you have in your prompting arsenal. You don't just instruct the AI on what you want it to do. You explicitly, aggressively tell it what it is absolutely forbidden from doing.
Give me a real-world example of a negative constraint prompt.
Sure. You would typewrite a strict factual summary of this meeting transcript. Do not, under any circumstances, use the following words: delve, pivotal, showcase landscape, or tapestry.
Just block them entirely.
Yes. And you add, do not use any inline bold headers. Do not use any emojis whatsoever.
By doing that, you're literally barricading those high probability garbage tokens we talked about earlier.
You are actively forcing the mathematical model completely off its preferred path of least resistance.
You're making it work.
You are making it sweat. You are forcing it to search deeper for the second best word, which ironically usually ends up being the much more specific human-sounding word.
That makes total sense. Okay, the second strategy is focusing on verbs. Quote, force the model to use is, are, or has, instead of serves as or represents.
I call this the Hemingway rule of prompt engineering.
The Hemingway rule.
Yeah, think about the grenade robot again. Writing the ugly robot serves as a testament to factory safety is structurally weak writing.
Very weak.
But writing the ugly robot is safe is incredibly strong and direct.
Right.
Strong verbs carry their own weight in a sentence. Weak verbs constantly need to be propped up by useless adverbs and that significance puffing we discussed.
And the third strategy from the source is enforcing fact versus synthesis.
This directly attacks the hallucination problem.
How so?
You have to literally instruct the model state the bare facts contained in the text and stop immediately. Do not attempt to explain why these facts are important unless the source text explicitly provides that reason.
So you are commanding it to stop trying to be the smart kid in class.
Exactly. You were saying stop the hallucination of deep meaning. I don't want your philosophy. Just give me the raw data.
It seems to me like what they call few-shot prompting would be really helpful here too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Few-shot is crucial.
Explain few-shot for the listener.
Few-shot prompting simply means providing the AI with concrete examples of good writing before you ever ask it to generate anything new.
So you give it a template.
Exactly. Your prompt would be, here are 3 specific examples of past update emails that I personally wrote. Carefully analyze the tone. Notice that they are very brief, highly direct, and contain absolutely 0 adjectives.
Okay.
Now, I want you to write a brand new update email strictly adhering to this exact historical style.
So you are basically training it on yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
You are essentially fine-tuning the base model on your own personal voice on the fly.
This all brings us to the final section of our deep dive today. And I think this is the most philosophical part, the cultural impact.
The human cost of the slop.
Right, because if everyone in the corporate world is walking around silently using these tools all day long,
And they are.
and we're all simultaneously becoming extremely paranoid, trying to spot the work slop in each other's messages, it inherently changes how we fundamentally trust one another in a professional setting.
It profoundly changes it. We are rapidly entering a massive crisis of professional trust.
Give me an example of how that plays out.
Okay, if I am an engineering manager and I receive a pull request with new code from you, and it visually looks like it was generated by an AI, I'm going to instantly assume that you didn't even bother to read it yourself.
Right, you just copy-paste it.
And if I am an executive and I get a 5-page strategy document from my VP that mentions the vibrant tapestry of our market landscape, I'm going to assume you spent 0 actual brain power thinking about our actual strategy.
It signals a complete lack of care.
It screams, I did not care enough about this task to do it myself.
To combat this, the source actually suggests adopting what they call a personal AI code.
A code of ethics, basically.
Exactly. It suggests every professional needs to answer 4 strict questions for themselves. Where do you use AI? Where do you actively refuse to use it? How do you rigorously check its output? And finally, how do you openly disclose your usage to others?
That second question is the one that separates the pros from the amateurs.
Where do you not use it?
Where do you absolutely draw a hard line in the sand and say no robots allowed here?
So what is an example of that line for you personally?
Me personally, I will never, ever use an LLM to write a performance review for one of my employees.
Oh, absolutely not.
That is a deeply human judgment moment that requires empathy and actual context that a machine doesn't have.
What else?
I will never use AI to draft an apology to a client.
Because it defeats the entire purpose of an apology.
Right. An automated apology is actually an insult. And on the technical side, I will never use AI to write the core security logic of a critical system without physically doing a line-by-line manual verification myself.
You have to have those boundaries.
You do.
Yeah.
And the fourth question about disclosure is just as critical.
Openly admitting you used it.
Yes. Simply saying, hey team, I used Claude to quickly summarize my messy meeting notes, but I personally read through and verified all the bullet points before sending this out.
Honesty is really the only way to politically survive the reckoning we talked about earlier.
It is. If you try to hide your usage, if you try to pass off the bot as your own brain, and you eventually get caught sending obvious work slop, your professional reputation is instantly torched.
Look lazy.
But if you boldly disclose it and you consistently deliver highly engineered, slop-free quality cereal, you look like an absolute powerhouse. You look like a true pro.
So let's try to tie a bow on all of this and bring it all home for the listener.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We started with the image of that ugly, life-saving grenade robot. We walked through the corporate theater of empty announcements and the brutal reckoning of those fake AI layoffs.
The austerity disguises innovation.
Yes. We saw exactly how workslop is actively clogging up our complex code bases and ruining our daily inboxes. And finally, we learned the specific negative constraints to engineer our way out of the beige text.
It really all just comes down to one word: intentionality.
Intentionality.
The free ride of 2023 and 2024 is completely over. The pure magic wow factor phase of generative AI is done.
The honeymoon is over.
It is over. Now we actually have to sit down and do the hard work of integrating it.
And as we established today, that real work is incredibly boring.
The real work is so boring. It looks exactly like a clunky garage-built robot that just slowly, reliably does its job.
Right.
It looks like a strictly constrained 3-paragraph prompt that produces totally dry, factual, unexciting prose.
It does not look like a flashy press release.
It absolutely does not look like a vibrant tapestry of synergies.
It looks like actual measurable margin impact.
It looks like undeniable business value.
I love that. Before we wrap, though, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final, slightly provocative thought that I pulled from the very end of the source material.
Oh, the search engine part.
Yes. The source briefly mentions this massive shift happening right now. It says that AI search, what they are calling GEO, or generative engine optimization, is rapidly completely replacing traditional SEO.
Right, because people aren't just Googling fragmented keywords anymore and clicking blue links.
No, they are going to Perplexity or ChatGPT and asking a full question.
They are asking the AI directly, who is the absolute best enterprise software supplier for this highly specific factory problem.
Exactly. And the AI engine synthesizes an answer. And here is the provocative part. If these AI search engines are increasingly answering queries based strictly on raw verifiable facts data and the quiet, successful integrations,
Which they are programmed to do.
then the flashy brands that are just making noise, the ones completely stuck in the theater phase, issuing press releases full of significance puffing, they are going to become totally invisible.
Because the AI's algorithm strips out the marketing puffery.
Exactly. It filters out the BS and looks for the actual grenade robot.
That is honestly a chilling thought for a lot of modern marketing executives out there.
Truly.
Because if your entire corporate brand identity is built on just being a vibrant tapestry of innovation with no actual product underneath, you literally disappear from the internet.
So here's the final question for you to mull over. If the actual winners in this new economy are the ones quietly rewiring their critical journeys down in the basement.
One staying completely silent and just fixing the plumbing.
Exactly. What does that mean for your personal perception of who the actual industry leaders are right now?
That completely flips the script.
It means the massive companies that you currently think are definitely winning the AI race, the ones with the loudest keynotes, the wildest utopian claims, the most glossy high-production videos.
They might actually be the ones that are the furthest behind technologically.
Exactly. They might just be shouting so loudly right now because they have absolutely nothing else real to show the board.
The loudest person in the room is usually the most deeply insecure.
Always. And right now, the tech industry as a whole is very, very loud.
So the lesson is you have to listen for the silence. Because that's where the real boring engineering is actually happening.
Listen for the silence. I think that's the perfect place to end it. Oh, and please do everyone a favor and permanently delete the word delve from your daily vocabulary.
Please, do it for my sanity, if nothing else.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.
Stay safe out there.